All right, and we are live. What's going on, team? Johnny Trades back with another live day trading session. Hope you guys are all having a great start to your day. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Market opened about 2 minutes ago. I am just a couple of minutes late here on our live stream, but not a lot seems to be going on at the moment. So, doesn't seem like we missed much of anything. All right, put this here, put that there. Okay, perfect. So I did sell 100 shares of my position yesterday, and then we sold 100 shares this morning up here at 12.27, locked in $47 or 4% on MSTZ position, just to give you guys a little bit of an update. I'm glad I did, or else we'd be back below break even. I believe our average share price was like 12 or 12.15 or something like that. Bitcoin seems to be struggling anyways. It popped up for a brief moment. It is down to 68,000 at one point this morning. So I'm excited to see, does it break this 68,000 psychological support, or does it hold? It looks like it bounced right off of that level pretty much. So 68,000 would be right around this level. We'll see if it holds. We'll see if it begins to hold and push up, or does it not hold and begin to sell off more. MSTR, on the other hand, even though Bitcoin is still selling off, MSTR pushed up just for a moment. MSTZ at $12.02, so kind of want to trade it again if I get a good share price. QQQ, playing its same old game where it's bearish, it's bullish. Most of the move happened overnight, went to 50 or 589.90. Same as yesterday, about 590 is the resistance. So if it continues to get rejected off of 590, then we have a strong case that this can continue to sell off even more. Now, if it pushes up to 590 and breaks, I mean, it can go to 593, 595, 600. So I think everyone's trying to wait and see if that does happen. Now, it is below that pre-market support level that we had from yesterday as well. Looks like it made a lower low. So now we're down around 583 once again. It's going to need to really hold around 583 or break. Kind of the same story for this, right? So I'm curious to see what happens if we do get a break above, say, 590 or not, right? So right now we're just setting our alerts pretty tight. Looks like it is continuing to sell off. We listened to 4 people yesterday during the Trump speech. 4 different people talk about the exact same event, but just in their own words. Basically, there was a downed airman around the Iranian, countryside, and basically it seemed like Trump just wanted to say, like, look at me, I saved an airman, we saved an airman, and look at the power of us because we're able to go in and trick all you guys and avoid all of you guys who are trying to kill him and rescue him and bring him home. That was basically it. And then he answered a few questions, and then that was basically the press conference. So 8 o'clock was the deadline last night, so I'm curious to see, or what was it, like midnight or something like that? No, it was 8 o'clock. It was a deadline for the U.S. or for Iran to basically stop doing what they're doing, and it doesn't seem like that was the case either. So I'm not seeing any new news besides the fact that President Trump said, per President's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation. Tomorrow, even more than today. Iran is a choice. Choose wisely because this president does not play around. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. So really, I mean, not a whole lot basically was said in that meeting that Trump hosted. Thank you. And yeah, like I said, like four guys said their details and version, I guess, of what happened. Airmen being down and being rescued. So pretty much just a bunch of just filler, I think. I mean, we still have a lot of stuff going on in you know, the world right now. So it looks like QQQ is pushing. And I'm gonna see if I could find any news or anything coming from Trump or anything today. Let's see. I'll have to look on my phone. So yeah, no active position open as of right now, just for the fact that markets are so oversold at this price point that we could see it either begin to push up, because we've seen that from lows of 554, push all the way back up to 585, 590s, but also we could see this get rejected. So I don't want to really go long on it because we could see rejection. It's been getting rejected quite a few times from 590, even back on March 23rd, 25th, 26th, to now getting rejected on those 590 levels. So we're just going to wait and give the market time to do what it wants to do. Maybe we trade intraday again the way we did yesterday, where we basically got into MSTZ at a high for the markets in Bitcoin, and we could have sold at the lows. We didn't. We held, and we held and overstayed our welcome a little. We didn't lose money. We didn't really make any money either. At one point, we were up $60 in just a couple of hours, or I think even during a live stream. And today we settled on like 47.80. So, we gave back a little bit of profits on our MSTZ position, but overall we still did a good job. See, it's just basically trading kind of flat right now. Now we've had somewhat of a support around 1158 yesterday, so I'm curious to see if it'll hold this level. We also had resistance all this morning at 1236. Excuse me. And that's one of the reasons why I sold, was because it just wasn't going up. I was like, well, if it's not going up, I don't want to hold it anymore if it's going to go down. So maybe we revisit this around that 1160 mark. We can buy again and get a nice, pick it up for a nice, decent price. That could be 75 cents per share if it sells off and then recovers. But right now, MSTR looking pretty good. It is above that resistance level that it created for itself during pre-market. There's also resistance around 128.46. So we'll see if that holds. Bring this alert down to here. Bitcoin, not really doing much, right? Kind of staying within this range now. We're starting to see a support range slightly above 68,000. We're starting to see resistance around 70,000. So I'm curious, does this hold? Does it begin to sell off? Because it seems to be struggling to stay above $70,000. Or to get above 70,000, right? Holding above 68, struggling to get above and hold above 70. VIX index is up today at 25. For all of you who are new here, remember that when the VIX index is above 20, the markets are more likely to sell off and are more volatile. So you're going to see a lot of ups and downs compared to if it's below 20, below this yellow line. Your markets are a little bit more stable, they're a little bit more relaxed, and they tend to just basically push up. But VIX index is pretty high today. Oil is higher today as well. Almost back up to those highs of $44. It's at $42 currently. So, the oil was selling off. We've seen that, the markets were trying to recover. Oil was going down last week. And now, of course, they're beginning to push up again, just due to all this uncertainty that we're having to deal with. Gold selling off, silver selling off. I mean, TQQQ could be a good play as well. If the markets do tend to sell off or do react in a negative way and sell off, we could see a significant amount of profit on this one. On SQQQ. Now, another reminder is this week we have the PMI report. Or no, is it the PPI? Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This week, Monday, of course, with the ISM non-manufacturing report. Yesterday it came in worse than expected, and I watched a video on that too, and basically it would be a lot worse, but the BML, they put people who are not working, certain people who are not working into a specific category, basically taking them out of the labor market. They're basically saying, okay, we have 400,000 people that aren't even looking for jobs. They know that somehow. They know that somehow these people aren't looking for jobs. So instead of putting them in unemployed, they put them in a new category that they created, which is basically excluding them from the report. So we should have a higher unemployment rate than we do, but they just basically move these people into a category that brings the percentage down. What? You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make it up at all. Tuesday, which is today, durable goods came in worse than expected. Is at a 1.4%. They were expecting a 1.1, so that's not good. We also have on Wednesday crude oil inventory. Well, that was really loud, wasn't it? Let me lower that down a little bit here. QQQ beginning to show signs of some selling pressure. Nothing too crazy yet, right? Just kind of staying choppy. Crude oil inventories, that's not as important, but that'll be happening Wednesday. And then Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, 1 hour before the market opens, we have core PCE price index. Then we have GDP, initial jobless claims, PCE price index, all on Thursday. And then on Friday, an hour before the market opens, we have the core CPI data report. And I could have swore we had the Fed minutes. I'm not seeing it on here now. But yeah, that's what's going on this week. So there are some pretty, major reports coming out this week that we should all be aware of. QQQ beginning to sell off more. Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's what it is. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Man, I'd love to find that piece of information because I think it's interesting to see how they categorized everybody into that report. Hmm. Was that the employment cost index? No, I don't think it was. Yeah, I have to find the publication for it because it was very interesting. Payroll employment increases. Maybe it's this right here. Let's go to the PDF. Yeah, I found it. I found it. Let me highlight it for you guys real quick. QQQ selling off. There we go. Okay, I want you guys to take a look at this. This is insane. This is insane, guys. So we have regular labor force. We have employed, right? We have employed March 162,000. Employment population ratio is like a 59. We have unemployed at 7,000, right? Which brings the unemployment rate to a 4.3. But look at this, not in the labor force. 104,000. That doesn't even make sense. 104,000 that just aren't even looking for work. They're not participating within any of this range here. Civilian labor force, 170,000, right? Isn't that interesting to see that they could just make another category not in the labor force? Our unemployment rate would be way freaking higher than that. It'd be like 112,000 unemployed. It'd be like 40%. So I thought that was very interesting. Meet Kevin explains it really well on one of his videos that I watched. And it's sad to see that, like, they could just do that. They could just make some random thing up and put these people in a category where they're not even looking for work, but they're not really classifying as unemployed either. So, interesting. Very interesting that they're able to do that. Okay, QQQ testing a previous support level, so still trading within range. We don't see anything new really happening. Bitcoin is selling off, so it would have been nice to maybe hold my position a little bit longer. But honestly, my position isn't even up to that 1227 mark where I sold. It did for just a moment. And again, I could always get back into MSTZ if it does break above, this 1236. Maybe it pushes up and tests 1272, maybe 1350s level, right? And that'd be nice. Buy 100 shares of MSTZ. But every time it comes down to this level, it ends up popping up. Yep, just like we saw here, it popped up. So I'd love to see it get rejected. I am watching it on my secondary screens here. I'm watching QQQ and Bitcoin. So, I'd love to see these begin to sell off more. But if it's just going to continue to do this and be choppy pretty much all day, then that doesn't give us much room. It's more of a scalper's market right now, right? It's hard to swing trade because when you go long, it ends up selling off more. When you think it's going to sell off more, it ends up recovering slightly. So you get yourself caught in bad situations on swing trades. Day trades can be the same way. We saw that yesterday where, it was super choppy yesterday. If I were to just zoom out and go look, and anyone who watched the live stream and were part of it saw, it was already in the negative, bearish, then it went to bullish, then it went back to bearish, and then went to bullish, got rejected, so it went bearish again, then bullish, then bearish, then bullish, and it just chopped all day long. Then you really think it's going to sell off. It gets below, makes a lower low. You're like, all right, this is it. It's going to sell off. And then it recovers. So very choppy indeed. A lot of volatility in the market. And I believe we're probably just going to see that again today. So I have no open positions as of right now for the moment. That doesn't mean I might not take a position later. So make sure you guys are keeping up to date with all of my with all the trade ideas that I present to you guys, all my um, messages and alerts and stuff that I present to you all. Let's take a look at the Discord. Let's see if anyone's saying anything. Because nobody's in the chat room right now. And for anyone who's new, guys, I do this every morning, whether we have one person watching or 100 people watching. I still show up and live stream my trading days, 30 minutes to an hour, for myself and also for you, right? And a lot of times people will come and go because they find success and they don't really need to watch the shows anymore. You know, I'm not super entertaining, but I try to give you some, information that you guys can use during your trading day, as far as markets, recovering, selling off, news, any breaking news that comes out, any Trump tweets or anything that happens. I try to keep you guys all pretty much up to date as much as possible without, spamming the Discord too much either, right? Because I'm not trying to give you guys irrelevant information. I'm trying to give you information that, that makes sense. So let's see on today's news if anything is happening. Hmm. Oh, looks like it's trying to recover. Whoa, this is crazy. Trump says a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized mind prevail, maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. So this was Donald Trump on April 7th at 8:06 a.m. So that would have been 6 a.m. my time. So about 2 hours ago, that's what Trump posted. Isn't that crazy? How a president could just have so much free speech to the press. Like usually, they won't allow presidents to speak on certain things. Of course, you can have your press conferences and things like that where they address the nation. But now he's doing it like on X, like where anyone can see it, everyone can watch it, and it's not good, guys. I mean, that is insane for Trump to say. I mean, he's been saying a lot of crazy stuff lately, so looks like QQQ wants to make a lower low. I could be thinking about going long on SQQQ. Even buying like 10 or 20 shares. 10 shares would result in like $30. 20 shares be about $60. Just doesn't really make sense to me to do that. If I bought this, I'd be buying it right where I sold for MSTR. Doesn't seem like MSTR wants to sell off very much. But yet it looks like it's going to. We're just going to wait and see, right? Because there's no break of support yet. Bitcoin still is where it already is, right? No break of structure. Still doing the same thing it's doing. QQQ hasn't really dropped below that pre-market support either. We might see the break below now, but then we could also see a bounce right back up. So it's kind of a hard market to trade in, to be honest, especially for any beginners out there. Could be very hard. You think it's going to sell off and it does a full recovery. I don't see why it would. It's gotten rejected off of 590 multiple times. I think Trump was trying to make them save the market yesterday during the speech, right? Because this could come down even more. On the daily, we're not even close to that, insane sell-off. And as you can see here, it's below that 200-day moving average. So we're still below the moving average. Nothing's really changed there. This needs to be wider. There we go. Let's see it. Do we break below or do we hold? Begin to rally. Here we go. QQQ dropping below, making a newer low. What does this mean? Does this mean that we jump in and take a short position right away? No. It's gonna have to retest this level now. Gonna retest 582 now. Retest 582, it drops another $1, and it could bounce right off of this moving average. Definitely can. Let's see what happens. We are making lower lows though. Bitcoin slightly following, not as much as I would like it to. MSTZ right back up to that pre-market resistance, and there we go. It's gonna pop up. Wow, beautiful. It's a nice little downtrend there. Boom. Up to 1241. Man, I should have got some at 12. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? We're trying to play it safe though. Trying to play it safe. Yeah, MSTR getting rejected off of that moving average. Very nicely. Making lower lows on the day. Right back where it was yesterday. So let's see if this doesn't rally. QQQ retesting 582. There we go, 582. It broke below 582 for just a moment. Do we begin to see this rally now? Right off of this moving average, right? Or does it get below the moving average and sell off further? That's what I want to know. 582. Wow, what a beautiful move for SQQQ. Anyone who was holding it from yesterday, beautiful. Beautiful. Bitcoin also selling off. MSTR. Wow. MSTZ up to 1244. FOMO. FOMO's kicking in. I should have bought at 12 like multiple times. I had the chance to buy at $12 on MSTZ. And I said, no, we're going to wait. I also had an order at 1150 overnight. I had kept it all night until pre-market. It never got as low as that 1158 ever again. 1173 had a low of 1189. It never got below to where I can get filled at 1150. Wow. Now let's see what happens with the market, right? We're not even participating today right now. We're just watching. Now we go to buy. Okay, it's breaking out. Markets are selling off. Let's buy into here for a continuation, and then, usually what happens to me is it comes all the way back down. And on a move that could have made me, $50, $100, I'm now down 50, 100 because FOMO, fear of missing out. I already missed out, but now I'd have the fear of missing out on more, and it just ends up getting rejected and sells off. Look at that. It's already consolidating for potential reversal here. No, maybe not. This also has a common support range around 123. So I'd hate to buy at support and then MSTR shoots up, bringing MSTZ down. Wow, what a beautiful move today. MSTZ up 5%. Here we go. QQQ below 582. The 200-day moving average is 581.76, and it's trying to hold on that moving average right now. You see that on the 30-minute time frame? Struggling a little bit. Definitely struggling to hold. And it looks like it's going to sell off even more. Man, beautiful. Beautiful. Breaking 582 support. Breaking 583 support. Now the question is, how low can it go? Bitcoin hasn't really broke any of that support around 68,000, so that's why I'm still being pretty cautious here. Oh man, MST has a Z up to 1250. 50 cents a share. "17 minutes ago, breaking news, Iran responds after President Trump says their entire civilization will die tonight. All diplomatic channels and indirect talks have been frozen after President Trump's recent threat," Iran says. Dang. So Trump wants to do whatever he can to um, man, this thing is really going, isn't it? To end the war. He threatens them. Then he says he wants to make a deal with them. And then he threatens them again. That'd be like trying to make a deal with your high school bully. Like, look, man, you know, that's like the bully trying to make a deal with you. Like, look, man, I won't bully you no more if you do all these things I tell you to do. And then the next day he's like, no, screw that, you're dead, man. I'm gonna kick your butt tomorrow, man. And then the next day he's like, look, man, we can negotiate, man. Like, what the hell? Wow. Total FOMO. Total FOMO. 70 cents per share. MSTZ's up to 1270. Bitcoin breaking that $68,000 support. QQQ all the way down to 580. We thought 582 was a lot. 583, 582. Now it's down to 580 and 12 cents. Is 580 a support for QQQ? It looks like it's already trying to find a little bit of support. Bitcoin selling off. I mean, man, what a nice move. What a really nice move. Now MSTR trying to recover after that brutal sell-off here. MSTZ up to 1269, 1271. Beautiful, up 7%. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. Even just holding my 100 shares, you know, or even buying 100 shares at $12. If it goes down a little bit, I could have got out, but that is missed. That was easily a $70 day right there. And everything continues to sell off. I keep having to adjust my alerts. QQQ down to 579. Bitcoin down to 67,800. MSTR down to 122. Jeez Louise. Sometimes it's good to be patient. Sometimes you miss out on those moves. Craziness. And look at that. It's going to continue to sell off. How low can it go? Nobody really knows. And this could recover very quickly too. We've seen it in the past. Sort of have like a V-shaped recovery. It'll sell off, pop right back up. Like that one day, it sold off, popped up. Plenty of V-shaped recovery scenarios. There we go. Already looking like it's finding some support. No, maybe not. It's going to go deeper red. Maybe we wait, take an opportunity to buy into TQQQ when it makes sense. This is insane. Can't believe I waited so long. Thought about going in on the break too at 12:30. It's gonna move a full dollar and we're gonna miss out on the full dollar move. Dang. Can't win them all. Cannot win them all. Dang. Already curling over. Looks like Bitcoin also with a little bit of green. That is insane, guys. That is insane. Should have known, right? 70,000 was a pretty major resistance. It tried 1, 2, 3 times and couldn't do it. Making lower highs, lower lows now. QQQ, we were talking about it, 590. Struggling to get above 590 for a good month or so now. Now it's all the way back down to 580. These are the times where you're like, I don't know. There's so much uncertainty. It seems sold off enough to where, okay, hey, I could buy the dip and it pushes up. And then it's at the point where it's like, well, it could continue to go down more. So you'd want to short it. And you could make money and lose money on both directions. It's not doing anything that it hasn't done in the past. We had a huge red candle. Everyone thought it was going to continue to sell off last week, and it fully recovered. Fully recovered. You know, and this is when the days that could be frustrating, especially if you're in a trade. I'm not in a trade right now. I'm just watching. But you're like, all right, I'm going to go short. It's below the moving average. I'm going to short this back to 550. It recovers. You lose money. Okay, I'm going to go long on this at 590 for a breakout, and it sells off back to 580. Either way, you're up or down $10 per share, $20, $30 per share on some of these triple leveraged ETFs. Looks like QQQ is trying to hold above 580 for right now. We could see more selling pressure. Wow. That was a nice move, right? $3 a share. 20, 40, 60 bucks on 20 shares. 79. If you can get to $10, that'd be amazing. I don't know if I could see the market selling off that much. But say you had one share, you'd make $10. If you had 10 shares, you'd make $100. 20 shares, $200. I just don't know. Markets already sold off 1.39%. Now we've seen the markets in the past sell off 2% in a single day and also recovered 2% in a single day. One day it was down 1% and then recovered and it was up 2%. Or was that the vice versa? It was down 2%, recovered all the way up to being positive 1%. That was a 3% recovery. Man. Yeah, we missed that trade. That trade was there. Now it looks like markets are going to recover. We're going to wait to see if we get another entry, maybe, possibly. Beautiful move, though. For anyone who participated in this move today, congratulations. From $12 to $12.76, 6.5% profits, up 7%, almost 8% on the day for MSTZ. 77 cents per share. So if you had 100 shares, $77. 200 shares, about 150 bucks. Beautiful. Just a straight move up. And I'm not going to mess with it today, right? I guess I missed out on my opportunity for right now. Bitcoin kind of trying to find some support. It could still sell off more. Markets can continue to sell off. But again, we're just at that point where it's like it's so oversold. We could see this recover. But I don't want to go long thinking it could recover when we know it could also sell off more. So what a crazy, crazy market. Crazy, crazy market. Anyone shorting, this might be the time to lock in some profits, right? If anyone wants to go long, this might be the time to go long. Yeah. About $30, $40. It's just not worth it. 40 to $50 if this recovers on like 40 shares. Yeah, so we're going to give the market some time, let it digest all this information. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty again this week. with all the crazy President Trump's acts that he's doing with speeches, and holding these press conferences and addressing the nation, and all these tweets, and 1 minute Iran is gonna be obliterated, the next minute it's not, then there's a deadline, and then now there's an extended deadline. Same old kind of story. We got some pretty major reports coming out this week as well. So, yeah, we're going to leave it with that. PDI said MST was getting closer to a buy, 4 or lower. Would be a nice scalp when it moves back to 430. Okay, so he's looking at MSTU, which is a Bulls ETF for MSTR, basically saying, hey, you could buy at 4, potentially sell at 430-ish, and make 30 cents a share. If you had 100 shares, that's $30. 200 shares, $60. 300 shares, $90. 400 shares, you're talking like $120. 1,000 shares, what's that, like $4,000 total invested? You'd be at like, what's that, $300? Yeah, 1,000 shares, $300. So it's definitely possible. I mean, it is showcasing consolidation to where it could begin to show signs where everything begins to start pushing up, and we could see this begin to go higher. It looks like Bitcoin is going to be making another leg down, so I would be very careful with that decision, as Bitcoin is looking very bearish as well, getting rejected off of not only 70,000, but getting rejected off of this 200-day moving average on the 4-hour time frame. On the daily time frame, it's also below the 45 EMA. It has been for a while, right? It's been below that 45 EMA, continuously getting rejected. 1-hour time frame, I would take a look at it as well. We can see this hold at 67,600. So if it holds this level above 67.6, we can see a nice little bounce back up, a nice little rally. We'll see if that's the case. If it drops below this moving average on the 1 hour, we can see it begin to sell off even more, maybe down to like the 65,000 territory. So I do have a lot of my alerts set for specific areas. So like the next area down would if it breaks 67,000, and if it breaks 66,000, we could then begin looking at 65,000 as another support or another area that it needs to break. So very curious to see what happens. I mean, we're not far off from those levels to begin with. 68,000 was supposed to be a pretty, well, not I'd say safe, but a pretty common area of support most recently. We're going to put this up to 69,000. And then, of course, we're going to make one here for the break of 70,000. So we got a couple alerts set. We're going to keep our eyes on it for right now, just to see what does happen. But yeah, what a nice move. A nice sell-off. Now it looks like it's beginning to recover, so it's not something that I would particularly want to mess with. It did break that common support range, so now we could take this out as a potential factor. Like 123 is no longer a good support level for MSTR. Looks like maybe 121 is still fairly important. But honestly, I mean, to be honest, it looks like it is trying to hold above that 122.50, that 122.50 that we saw yesterday morning pre-market. Looks like it's trying to hold above that level still. So, I mean, we could see this thing really pump. Could really pump up and make back everything that it lost today. We're going to set an alert around 122, see if we get a break below that. Bitcoin alerts are set. We basically made $50 today. Could have been more. Could have lost money. But, hey, still happy with the 4% on a very light position. I was only holding 100 shares overnight. QQQ recovering. We'll see if it breaks above 584.50. If it breaks above this moving average, we could see more upward momentum. If it gets rejected, like it did here, we can see some more downward momentum. So that's kind of my thought process. No open trades currently. And yeah, so appreciate you guys' time. Hope you guys all have a great Tuesday. And we'll talk to you all a little later. And I'll keep you guys updated in the trade ideas section of the Discord if I end up taking a trade. So yeah, have a great day, team.